Momo, this is, I was going to write this in an email, but I'd be writing forever and it's easier to do it with video. I, I, I got your email about the problem with the internet. And, well, one is I appreciate it because even if I was able to get 800 laptops, they couldn't be used unless, they had internet access that was, broadband. And I've told you about Bobby Kennedy and how much you remind me of Bobby Kennedy and how much I'm like Bobby Kennedy, at least I hope I am. And, and I wrote an article recently about the ones with all the lanterns, about Bobby Kennedy saying that when you have a problem, put it up like a lantern so everybody can see it. And what you did for me in that email was to say, hey, I know that you want to do this thing about the laptops, but you ain't going to be able to do it because of the internet issues. And that may be reality. And I might not be able, even if I was able to get 800 laptops, I still might not be able to get them usable so that they could use them in classrooms. But the one single statement that Bobby Kennedy made was, some men see things as they are and say why, I dream dreams that never were and say why not. And I'm being honest with you, it may be that I will fail. But I'm going to try. And Randy Posh, who did the last lecture, who died of pancreatic cancer, said that walls, brick walls, aren't put up there to keep you out. It's to show people how determined you are to get over the wall. And and the wall is the internet issue. That is the wall. It would have been easy for me, or easier for me, if I could just simply say, here are 800 laptops, and just connect to the internet and everything's going to be fine. Well, it's not going to be that easy. So the other night, it was early in the morning. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. That my webmaster, web administrator, called me, and I was having problems with dealing with a dream that's not going to realize. And I said, and I told him about how I saw Coco doing it. Coco had his smartphone and was just standing there and was able to get TT connected to the internet. And I don't know how that stuff is done. Coco can explain it, but I don't get it. And I told Tony, this guy that's doing my webpage now, I said, it just bugs me that I can't, would it be possible if a teacher in a classroom of 20 or 30 kids had an iPhone, then they could connect to all the 30 laptops? And he said, no, you can't do it that way because broadband or I don't know. So I said to him, you know, I was talking to HP a couple days before about getting a grant for the laptops. You know, there must be a way around this. And his suggestion was, you know, you can go to HP, you can go to Dell and the computer companies and try to get a grant. But he said to go to Google. And Google does two things. One, it has something called Google. It's a small laptop. But they also do a lot of work trying to get people connected. And he said that Dell does that also. So next week I will be calling Google, Dell, HP again, and those computer companies, and trying to talk to them about how to connect, how they are going to help me connect to the internet with some better speed. Because I remember when I was there both times, I tried to connect to Moraine Valley where I teach, and I could get the first page, but I couldn't maneuver around because of the downloading problems with the internet. That's one thing. So one is I appreciate you're saying to me, wake up, you know, there is a problem here. And I mean, it's what we call in the United States a blessing. Somebody says, watch out, you're not going to get where you want to be by doing what you're doing. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. You have always been very, very caring and concerned about what goes on in my head. You know, you're young enough to be my youngest granddaughter, or my youngest daughter, Michelle, and yet you're concerned about me is almost maternal, you know, of a mother, you know. So it's kind of a confusing situation for me to understand. Is just that you are very, 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 very caring, and I've said this about TT. TT is directly in your footsteps. We were up at I forget it. I think it was called Oceans. It's kind of a new department store in Tangier. And you took us out to, you and Coco took the girls and me out to lunch. And I watched TT. She was walking behind her younger sisters just to make sure everything was okay about what they would order, and it was just the cutest thing. And the other thing is that one other thing I want to say, other than thank you again, and I'm going to do a video for TT also. That's just going to be, it's not going to, anybody on the internet's going to say it's just TT. It's interesting to me how much a 9-year-old girl changed me. And it all started 4 years ago with this, hi, I'm TT, you want to play some games? I'm a different person. I'm a better person, having met TT. And I don't fully understand the transformation within me. And I talk about TT a great deal. But what's interesting to me is how at least I can see, and you remember the restaurant that you and Coco took me and the girls the day before I left that area, and the restaurant had a widescreen TV up on the wall, and Snow was sitting there transfixed, focused on watching her program. And I don't remember what the program was, but she was sitting right next to me, and I just went like this. And I don't know whether it was you or Coco, one of you or both of you, just said, she's not going to see it. I mean, she's focused, or I don't know what the word you use, but that's what I interpret it as. She is very much like, I mean, you have Momo, and then TT is very much like you. She's just a generation younger. And you can see in Snow you can see in Snow becoming like TT. TT is, that letter that she wrote to me, an email where she wrote to me about her studying and her parents helping her. Man, that's being focused. But I can see it in Snow, half a generation behind, or half a generation behind her older sister, TT. And the other thing is, I've written about this a million times also. Before I leave from Snow, before I leave talking about Snow, and I've written about this, about her holding my hand. It wasn't, could I hold your hand? It was just, I couldn't have walked 5 feet, and I didn't, she just happened to be on the right-hand side of me when we were walking someplace. I don't remember where it was. But unannounced, without looking at me, without doing anything, 1 step, 2 steps, and all of a sudden, Snow took a hold of my hand. And kept on walking. He didn't say anything. And it was her expression of love for me. And, the article that I wrote about that, I said that we're driving back to the hotel for Coco to drop me off at the hotel. And it was funny, just sitting in the back seat with the 2 younger girls, you could see the one family in the front, Momo and Coco and TT, the adults, and the children, along with grandfather, were sitting in the back seat, and Snow happened to be on the right side of me, and Fatty was on the left-hand side, and I thought to myself, if Snow wants to express her love for me by holding my hand, I'm going to reciprocate. I'm going to hold her hand. And before she could do anything, I just reached out, took hold of her hand, didn't say anything, and just held her hand until we got to the hotel. and this is about Fatty. I realize that Fatty isn't as fluent in English as her older sisters, but there were numerous times where she would be talking to her sisters or doing something around the house, and a complete English sentence would come out of her mouth. But I understand that she isn't as bilingual as TT and Snow are. But I've written about this also, and it's kind of surprising me. I love the kids. Because, there are a million reasons for loving your 3 children. But it kind of catches me off guard when they want to express love to me. It kind of sounds dumb, doesn't it? If I love them, probably they love me. But I'm so fixated about talking about loving them that when they express their love for me, it kind of rattles me, it kind of surprises me. And even Fatty, with not being as bilingual as the rest of the family, she communicates extremely well. This happened many times when I was at your home. We were playing games or something, and Fatty would say "Popo G," and I'd tickle her or something like that. And it would be 2 seconds later, she was sitting on my lap, and then looking up and doing this, fluttering her eyes, and she could express her love and concern or care for me, like, I know you love me, and I love you, and isn't the world great? I'm 75 years old. I've come close to being dead a couple times. And so I appreciate life a lot differently than people who haven't done the dance. And maybe that's a part of my caring for the kids. Part of it is just that they're cute kids. But you and Coco have 2 extremely loving and caring children. All 3 of your children. I'm proud of my 3 grandchildren. I can imagine how you and Coco are with your children. I talk to everybody about the meaning of, the first trip 4 years ago was the best trip in my entire life. A couple months ago, I came back, same time. And what I thought was my best trip in my entire life became the second best trip of my entire life. And it was superseded by this most recent trip. And, one of the things that Randy Posh says in his last lecture is that you need to express your appreciation to people for things that they have done for you. Meaning that sometime you're not going to be around, and then you won't be able to. I get that. But it started with TT. and went to Snow and Fatty. They are my grandchildren, and I love them dearly. And I'm still having trouble with Messenger and Facebook, and so I decided just to do this video, and I'm going to put it in two places. Put it in when you go to travel, and then delete the index and just put M in there and click on it, it'll go up. And also in Dropbox. But the problem with Facebook, and even if we could do Skype well enough, this is much more personal, and I can express myself to you and your husband about your 3 children. And I told you this before. I thought, before I got to Myanmar the second time, that I'd go there and see Titi and her sisters and you and Coco, and that'd be the last time I'd see you. I can't wait to see you, Coco, Titi, Snow, and Patty again. And maybe that's one of the reasons that this laptop stuff and having to figure out how to get more broadband available. But my web administrator thinks that Google is the best place to start. And so I'll let you know what I'm able to do with Google, but I want you and Coco to understand. I mean, I have 3 children I love and 3 grandchildren I love here in the States. But it's different about your 3 children. And I can't fathom all the reasons why. And each of them is unique in their own way, and they have similarities and things, but it all started almost 4.5 years ago. Hi, my name is Titi. You want to play some games? So I don't know whether my little video makes any sense to you, but it's a lot easier for me to express it this way than to write it out in an email. So I appreciate you're listening to me going on about your family. But we are family. So you take care. Tell Coco that I said hello, and give the girls a hug for me. See you later.